So often I get business after the fact where they come in, they've got a mess on their hand. They haven't done their bookkeeping properly. They haven't filed their taxes. You can avoid all that just with proper planning.
Well, hello and welcome to the BRITE interview series. My name is Jake Ricosi. I'm your host today. And today we're joined by Jim Fyffe, certified public accountant during this busy tax season right now. So thank you for making the time to come in and talk to us during probably what is the most busy time of the year for you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here today. It is my busiest time of year, usually from January to April 15th. It's just crazy for me. But I try to make time for things like this because I'm always trying to get my name out there and get to meet new clients, potential clients. So that's why I like doing this.
Well, greatly appreciated for you coming on here today. Can you start off by giving us a little background on yourself? I know
I'll give you the short version. I've been a CPA in Orlando for almost 35 years, I'm thinking. In 1987 is when I got my license. When I first came to Orlando, I worked for a CPA firm to get that exposure to the business and to learn what I needed to learn to be able to do what I do. And I did that for about 10 years. And then I decided, I've had enough of working for other people. I think I'm ready. I have my license. I have my experience. So I went out on my own somewhere around 1997, 1998. I'm a little hazy as to exactly when I did it. And I've been doing it ever since. And I've grown my practice slowly but surely. I like to consider myself an all accounting service business. And that is that I do everything, bookkeeping as well as personal taxes, corporate taxes, business advising, anything of that nature. I try to accommodate the clients. I try to stay with what I call small clients. And by small, I don't mean by any means growing businesses or anything like that. I mean businesses that are not so large that they become all-consuming to me that I can't handle my other clients. So if it's a huge client, I tend to refer them to the bigger CPA firms because my niche is really the small to medium local businesses. So that's what I try to focus on.
Well, that's great because that's a lot of our audience is young entrepreneurs and personal businesses and people like that. So
and believe me, there's plenty out there. I don't have to worry about work. I've got plenty of work to keep me busy, and I'm always getting new business all the time. So
great.
But that's in a nutshell what I do for a living.
So just one of the first topics I wanted to talk about today was debt. I know that really goes hand in hand with being a CPA and navigating all that stuff. So just first off, can you kind of talk about the difference between good debt and bad debt?
Well, that's a difficult question because it depends on what we're talking about interest rate wise. Now, you can get an SBA loan for a really low business interest rate, which I always recommend if you're able to secure a loan of that nature to finance your business, your best bet is something like an SBA loan. If you go to a bank, you're gonna pay a much higher interest rate, no doubt. And then of course it also depends on what the return on your investment is going to be. So you have to just weigh the benefits of a higher interest rate loan to what you can, what your businesses that you're trying to develop can handle. So, but I always recommend, if at all, get an SBA type loan because they do offer a really, really good interest rate for entrepreneurs.
Can you explain the SBA loans a little bit more?
Well, they're government administered. I think it's called SBA, is Small Business Administration, and you can actually go onto their website. I don't remember exactly what the website is, and apply for a loan there. And I think they also will answer questions regarding it there. And they usually want some kind of, I'm trying to think of what you call it, a business plan. In order to secure the loan. So you have to do your homework. You have to research what you're trying to do and develop a plan, and then you present it to the SBA, and they will either approve or disapprove of it. But they're there trying to help the small businesses develop. So
Yeah. Would you say now is a better time to take in more debt just because federal interest rates are so low, or?
yeah, of course. If you can get one, yeah, that's the way to go.
Great.
Yeah.
And just segueing into another section we wanted to talk about was creating an LLC. So, say I'm buying a second property or something like that, and I'm already a homeowner. Would it be wise for me to start an LLC for tax purposes, or?
That's always a question that I get a lot, because an LLC really can be taxed 4 different ways.
Mhm.
It can be taxed as a single member LLC, which is basically putting it on your personal tax return on Schedule C.
Mhm.
It can also be taxed as a partnership if you're going in with another person, and that would be Form 1065 that you would prepare for that. It can also be either an S corporation or a C corporation. Now, you have to make the election once you get your LLC approved by the state. But if you're an S corporation, then you can get the benefits of not having to pay as much Social Security tax, because some of that income will flow through the S corporation, and there's no Social Security tax on that. Now, the hidden danger of that, of course, is you want to show some kind of salary as you develop the business. But a lot of people like the S corporation route because, especially in the beginning, you avoid that big Social Security tax, which is around 15.3%, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other route is you can go a C corporation, which that would be another way to go if you have that option, which protects you a little bit more. But tax-wise, it really doesn't offer too much more benefits, especially if you're going the S corporation versus C corporation, because if you go a C corporation route, then you have to pay Florida income taxes on the corporation income.
So would you say LLC is more of a legal protection thing
It
than
is.
it is a tax thing?
Well, it's both. It's a
Yeah.
legal protection, but they've made it very, very easy for you to make different choices with the LLC in our country. So it offers, from a tax standpoint, various different options that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I recommend an LLC. Now, from a legal standpoint, you would have to talk to an attorney as
Yeah.
far as what protection it really offers you. I really am not familiar
Yeah,
with
we're
that
not
area.
gonna delve
I'm not
into
an
any of the-
attorney, so I'm not going to give legal advice.
Yeah, we're not going to delve into any of the legal
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of businesses taking in debt, they can use that as leverage, right? And can you talk a little bit about how you can do that?
Well, you can use debt, especially in the beginning. It's really hard because you're trying to get the business going, and sometimes you need to have funds to be able to finance your business. But debt, you got to be careful with it because you don't know how much return you're going to have on that investment. So you have to weigh what interest rate am I paying on this loan versus what kind of return on my investment? Is it reasonable based on my return of the investment that I expect? Now, that's where a business plan comes in, because you can kind of gauge what your potential return on investment is. And then when you go to get the financing, you can look at the interest rate that you're going to pay based on what you expect to be able to return on that investment.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a tough area,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning.
There's also the dangers of over leveraging, right? Are you familiar with that?
Well, over leveraging means taking on too much debt.
Yeah.
And you see that time and time again with businesses out there, that they just take on too much debt. They try to expand before they're
Mhm.
really ready yet. And yeah, that can be the death of a business.
Yeah, and I was just asking that because interest rates are so low right now. So,
Mhm.
and you mentioned, it might be a good time to take on more because the interest rates are low. So just avoiding the dangers of just taking on way too much just because the interest rates are low. And I don't know if you've seen any horror stories yourself as a CPA with all the experience of that.
Not myself, but you hear about it in the news a lot.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the exact situation with I won't say their name.
Yeah.
One of the grocery store chains that was in Florida, but I believe that's what happened is they tried to expand really before they were ready, and they leveraged it, and it was a disaster.
Yeah.
And now they've closed a bunch of their stores in the Florida market because of it. So yeah, you got to really watch that.
Definitely. So you're a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate you sharing everything. So just why is it so important to have a CPA if you're a small business or an entrepreneur?
Well, that's because you want to avoid government intervention with problems, basically. I'm here to help you avoid problems that you might incur with the government if you don't adhere to what the proper filings are. And I'm also here to advise you as to what you need to do as far as filings, whether it be payroll taxes, your corporation taxes, your annual renewal of your tax, your federal, not your federal, but your state incorporation or LLC. The fine for not doing that on time is $400, I believe. So I try to advise my clients of things that are coming up that need to be taken care of. And if they have payroll, the penalties for not filing can be pretty substantial, so you have to really watch that. And unfortunately, a lot of entrepreneurs are so focused on growing the business aspect that they're not really focused on the administrative aspect, and that's where I come in to help them with that.
Right. So you're doing all the complicated stuff that makes people's eyes gloss over and they look over through all the filings and different things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And
Great.
That's what I try to help them with.
So what are some of the strategies to optimize this whole process when you're running a business?
Just planning it ahead of time and having a business plan, talking to your CPA ahead of time, talking to your attorney ahead of time, talking to your financial advisor ahead of time. So often I get business after the fact where they come in, they've got a mess on their hand. They haven't done their bookkeeping properly. They haven't filed their taxes. It happens a lot. And you can avoid all that just with proper planning, just knowing what you need to be prepared for. And that's where I help business owners.
So I don't want to use the word loopholes too much because I'm sure you hear that word all the time. But what are some laws or different things in taxes that small businesses could know about that could just like help them initially?
Well, there's depreciation is one of the first things that comes to mind because you have what they call a Section 179 deduction, which when you buy, let's say, a $50,000 piece of equipment, you can expense that full amount the first year. And for a business owner, having that deduction right off the get-go in the first year is amazing. It's amazing tax write-off. And the government did that to help small businesses grow their businesses and not have to pay as much tax in the beginning. So that's one of the things that I can think of. And the other one, of course, I brought up a little bit earlier, and that is if you go the S corporation route as an LLC, you can avoid some of the Social Security tax that you would have to pay otherwise if you just go as a sole proprietor.
Great. So finally, just you specialize small businesses, personal taxes. Tell everybody where they can find you and how they can get a hold of you if they need some help.
Yes, my office phone number is 407-273-0720. Again, that's 407-273-0720. You can also find me on the web, jamesrfyffecpa.com. And that's the two ways to find out more about me. You can call my office and schedule a meeting. I usually offer an free initial consultation if they're just starting out, and give them whatever advice they need. I limit it to 1 hour, because it is obviously, I'm giving free advice. But
Yeah.
I do that to try to make them feel comfortable with me and maybe help them grow with their business. So.
Great. Any final thoughts or final pieces of advice for anybody out there during this tax season?
No, just be prepared, file early if you can. I'm already feeling the weight of people coming in, and I know March is going to be a particularly rough month. Don't wait till the last minute, because you're going to have it. First of all, you're going to have a hard time finding somebody that's going to be able to help you. And it's just crazy trying to do everything at the last minute. So the earlier the better. That's my advice.
Great. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, Jim.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.